Hey.
Good.
I've been deep diving GIF. Congrats on the launch. I love innovative tokenomics, so it's very cool.
Well, you look like the Unabomber.
Oh, I don't even have to rumble up. Where's Bulky at? There we are. So
yeah.
It's really, and this is the interesting thing. I've been working with the GIF for a long time, and we're the other ends of the exact opposite coin, but we both see eye to eye on pillars, systems, use cases, sussing it out in real time, doing something that hasn't been done before, and do it component by component, just like the proverbial thing, like how do you eat an elephant? Bite at a time. Well, guess what? The other thing is the pink elephant in the room, thing that you're not looking at. How do you do both at the exact same time and give yourself the back tested data to suss out if the next thing is right, the next thing to do is correct, and if it had the proper return on use case that you thought it was going to, also given time to mature. You can't just like shit out a baby and expect it to like go to work, right? It takes time to walk, run, crawl, use training wheels, learn the value of things, and then be responsible to operate a car. You can go from A to Z.
So since it's launched, like, I mean, just, you know, because it is kind of an experiment when you put something out like this, like you don't
say that
you don't really know, but how has GIF worked? You know, because you theorize about it and then you put it out there. Like, how has it worked as you intended? Is there things that you've learned after putting it out, or
of course, of course, I can even roll through them. There, as each iteration, we build another pillar. So again, the first pillar, when we were just dealing with Pulsar, is no leaky boat, and well, simulation, not speculation, but creation, not inflation. That was the first pillar. And then from there, we moved into, as we were building, or quote, Pulsar, but we launched GIF as the GIF launched GIF. Didn't even tell hardly any of us on core. When he told me, I was booked for a week. I couldn't even open up my stuff. But we thought that was just a joke, just to suss out how to deploy a meme coin and see what would happen with sniper bots, all the rest of that stuff. We didn't even expect that to be the next iteration of the system. And then that entire time that we were talking about Pulsar, we clearly were mentioning this particular name. We weren't saying anything. I mean,
is Pulsar GIF? Or is it the same thing? Okay.
No, it's different. So Pulsar is how we bind to EVMs together, binded through GIF tech. We hadn't even come up with the term GIF tech, as in the Fallout TEC. Like me and my buddy Crypto Durpin, who's the best UI UX guy in the world. We haven't even gone through those simulations. We were still, you know, sussing out just the top spin for Pulsar. And then we went on multiple other streams talking about Pulsar, and we started dropping things that if you were paying attention, you would know. And then it was like a stream with Hexray Visitor when Ali was talking about Pulse Wars. Did we even say the name GIF on stream? And that was maybe a week or 2 days before the GIF decided to launch PermaGIF, which was actually how we suss out how a flat ratioed buy and burn work together. And at that point, God, within a week, we hit it like 8% supply burn. Wild. And then that beneficial wallet who pushed us over 25%, because it was always the competition to get over whoever that guy was. And then whoever that beneficial person was decided to then mint all that supply to eGIF. Man, you
so it was the one. So I just so I do have a question, because I just watched the explainer video. I had to watch it like a few times. But I did write down some questions just to like better understand it. So the 1 billion GIF supply, was that just like all put in LP, or was that minted? It was minted.
Well, it was created, right? And I think most of that was actually put into LP at the very beginning.
Okay.
Again, like I said, like he called me while I was on the phone with my boss, and I have a golden rule: I do not touch my crypto wallet when I'm busy or exhausted in the brain.
That's a good rule.
It's a very good rule, because I do not need to chase gains when I know what I am doing correctly, right? And so, like, it almost took me 4 or 5 days And we just thought this was sussing out how to deal with sniper bots. We didn't even realize that this was going to be the coal that creates diamonds. We hadn't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
So all of that just happened. And then when we actually created the perma aspect, that's where we came up with the idiom and ideal of creation, not inflation, and really suss that out together, how it will work. It's because there can only be 1 billion, either GIF or perma GIF. However, every time that you touch the ability to create, not inflate, you automatically redactively remove the GIF, period, no cost. Now it does.
It's really more like destruct rather than inflate, because it seems both have a burn deflationary aspect to them.
Yeah, well, on top of that, the fun suss of that experiment too is that GIF technically is destroyable because of how it was created. You can't do that on Go Pulse. Remember, anything, let me preface it this way. Hex is a meme coin until you put it into the T-share system. At that point, it actually can do everything else that you want. Yield, reward, penalize, carrot and stick, use icosahedron if you wrap it with an HSI, get communists on one side, get other airdrops, all the rest of that. If you just held liquid hex, you were dealing with a meme coin. So it's a vanilla wrapper that had a key that could open a door. That's important to suss out and understand. And that's why that experiment was very fascinating, because we were sussing out what we could put it on, and not just on one thing that was set up for that layup, but anything to suss out on how we do that technology. And so putting it to the debt address, or any of there's a 369 debt address on, PulseChain, but we went to the DEAD address to, give a salute. It's interesting because now you've got the other side of what we can do in the future when tokens are programmed to be deleted, as well as used on another side where when you're looking at Go Pulse and it says how much supply has been burned, it's just querying the debt address. It's querying where those tokens get locked. It's a reverse OA. That's super.
And it's also kind of a unique. So if you think about it, so typically if someone wanted to just swap for GIF to PGIF, that supply, the GIF that they are swapping for goes into that LP pool. And so something that I really like about this is I don't know if you thought about this, but it's kind of like a unique, it's like a unique swap feature in that it benefits both with that that 10% fee with the Pulse, but it doesn't necessarily the LP pool doesn't suffer. So I don't know. I need to think more about that piece.
Sure,
but I'm curious. So one question I had was why would someone buy PermaGIF and create the opportunity for other people rather than buying GIF and taking advantage of that opportunity themselves?
Sure. Well, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do with the system created. So from me and my history as a truck driver, I realized that rubbernecking is a bad idea. I've already seen plenty of very, very bad accidents in my life. I don't need to see the thing on fire, slow the hell down, cause some other lunatic to go speed around and run the gun or do other crazy things that create a problem. If you use the tools correctly, you're a founder, not a holder. This is a very, very, very important mechanic and pillar, because the tools themselves will do exactly what they're supposed to do. So if you're worrying about arbitrage is a feature. It's good. You can use it just like speeding down the road. You can do whatever you want when you decide to get in your car, drive one way or wrong way down a one-way street. You can drive straight instead of forward. The joke in truck driving, you can drive straight all you want right into the ocean. It's not going to help you. You're moving forward, not straight. And so you have to understand those things. So when you do decide, being benevolent or not, to mint your perma token, doesn't have to be GIF, it can be EICOSA, PICOSA, PLUSD, NOPE, all the rest of that. You are making that economic energy of that transfer permanently binded to that perma token. right? Bitcoin is proof of power. It's the economic power and the bindable tools of said power together, aka ant farm, all the rest of the fucking, you know, mining pools that actually allow it to control things at a particular weight and level.
Right.
But doing that without the susceptibility of corruption. It's doing all of that. Go ahead.
Let me jump in, Larry. I think, Goki, were you asking, you know, why would somebody buy PermaGIF?
Yeah, essentially, because
so let me answer that real quick.
Why would you buy rather than
cheaper than GIF? It's an arbitrage opportunity.
Yeah,
right.
Period. End of story. That's the answer right there.
Could I field that?
Cheaper.
Yeah, actually,
GIF,
Rock is the better guy.
Arbitrage opportunity.
Well, this is what I would say in any given system, right? This is absolutely 100% DeFi. Right, we can have external messaging all we want through Telegram, through Twitter, whatever. But me as a user, I'm always going to seek out the positive move. Period. You know, if a move is gonna move me negative, it's not gonna happen. I'm gonna look elsewhere. So within any given system, if you are providing multiple opportunities for positive moves, those are the moves that are going to get made. And by the way, if those positive moves happen to have a way of feeding back into each other and supporting each other to create new positive moves in different areas, that's where it all comes into play. Yeah. So now you look at these kind of 4 linked systems that are set up, right? Right. I may be able to take my Pulse and buy LUSD mint stable, and then basically grow my Pulse bag so I have more ammunition to feed in, either back into this or feed it into Nope or ICASA or back to GIF, right? So it's all about the positive move for the user. The user's going to gravitate towards positive moves, right?
So I get the ARB from GIF to PGIF. I guess I don't understand. It kind of seems one directional in that, like, you know, if PGIF is more expensive, then you can mint and sell and, you know, buy back. I don't understand. Can you explain? Is there an ARB opportunity the other way from PGIF to GIF?
People are doing that. People are doing direct swaps both ways.
So I get it. So you would swap
if it's a positive move.
It does go back. It does go back. So you swap for that, and then you that's awesome. Yeah, I do like this kind of duality of 2 tokens that play in each other. I think it's got a really good design. And honestly, like, I think so. You know, my 2 kind of first impressions were like, one, the deflationary aspect on both assets is very attractive, and then the 10% Pulse being placed on PGIF as well, I think is buy and burn is another really attractive. So like those things, like, you know, this system, that's why my first question was like, how is this experiment working out? Because it's a cool system of, like, you know, creating engagement, you know, for people to want to buy. There's incentive around it, and also fun dynamics, you know, that play out. So I love stuff like this. Like, this kind of tokenomics and stuff. And I like my couple of feedbacks would be, one, like, a product like this, I would love to see stats on this. Like, you know, how much is being burned? What's the current arbitrage? I think, you know, someone that might be good to reach out to for this is Crypto Sloth. He built a really cool ICOSA app that kind of showed the there's some arbitrage or some, you know, dynamic that, or there was a ceiling, like you know, a price ceiling with ICOSA, and he built a really cool tool on that. I would love that with this, because it's like, as a, you know, if I was someone that wanted to take advantage of this ARB opportunity, it would be nice to make it really easy for people to be like, oh, there's this opportunity right now, maybe I should take advantage of it. So that would be a cool add to the website.
Sure.
But also, yeah.
When has that? And then there's also Hex Model from Dev Huey. There's also HSI Watch from Jiong, by the way, indie game developer. Salute to you, always well fun. But all of that, I mean, the stats are being tracked on Giffordwear.win. But we're worrying about the actual deployment of things rather than when we actually strike on the UI UX. But here's the other interesting thing. As people go through the real process of creation, not inflation, you have now just redacted the other end of that arb that makes one even less and the other one on the buy and burn more dynamic, which is what we did with iBurn. iBurn is 20% or 25%, I believe, maybe 15%. I have to look at the foot. Yeah, 15%. Whereas Noble and Stable is a dynamic floor ceiling price to their own economy, which is even more dynamic on top of it. So each strike we suss, develop, and create based on the simple, easy things that we can suss out.
Right. Okay. This thought just came to me, and I'm curious what would be the implications of. But what if you deployed a GIF tech system on top of GIF itself?
That would be an interesting idea, wouldn't it?
That might be. I mean, I don't know how many layers of abstraction you could go, but that would actually be really kind of crazy.
This is the dumb thing about me, that I can do 16 steps ahead, which means it's very hard for me to do simple. But yeah, it's like that would be a very interesting system. That would be called systemic design, where you have multiple different gears and systems smashed down into one. Right. So yeah, that's a very interesting idea.
So I guess this is my last question. So, you know, right now, because it's so new, I think there is opportunity for, you know, actual users to see that ARB opportunity, take advantage of it. Do you feel like this it kind of seems like a pretty prime opportunity for like a person to build a bot that would kind of insta ARB at every opportunity?
You mean Tetra? That I know the founder very, very well.
Did he build something?
I've been waiting for the MVP from Stu for a long time. And yeah, that'd be very interesting if you just put some complexity like me or Rock can do out of our head and then make it autopilot.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean they have to understand the complexities of it. They probably should, but it can be done. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, you could make it. So one thing I like, this is just an extension. There's a new EIP out there. I think it's 4337 that you actually can batch transactions. This might be a really interesting use case. I don't even know if we have this on PulseChain yet. But essentially you could wrap the transaction of, you know, either buy, like if you already have GIF, you could, you know, mint PGIF, ARB it, sell it, and then swap back in one transaction, which would actually be really kind of cool.
Or a sandwich attack at the same time, but doing it on the actual protocol side based on the IP. It sounds like, right?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, kind of batching those transactions would be a cool, cool use. But yeah, I love this. I mean, I think it's really cool, and it's gonna be more fun. Like honestly, I think this is really cool. You guys launched this, and we're still kind of in the middle of you know, a bear, unfortunately, but like it's going to be a lot more fun when, you know, everything's going up, and that'll be a whole nother ball game with this whole dynamic. I think it's cool. Okay. I do have one more question though. So you've kind of built this as a tool that can be used on, you know, any asset. Do you feel that, do you feel there's any dilution with, you know, adding more and more, you know, product, like creating kind of this new system for in creating, you know, 2 new coins for every coin you add? Do you feel any dilution there, or do you, how do you feel?
Sure. Let me answer that. For example, if I have a particular dessert that's very expensive to make, and I make a whole bunch of other desserts at let's say a fast food restaurant or something, what do people focus in, and what is actually more expensive to create? Now, with each different idiom or role, you actually combine back into each other. But the question is like adoption of each tool.
Right.
In fact, I'm going to go smoke. Let's let Rock answer that, because again, he fellow game dev, and he probably can explain this simpler than I can.
I mean, look, based on my own thinking, really, I don't see any real issue with dilution of the systems in general, but it does. I think it does depend on which token is being supported. Right now, everything is supporting PGIF, right, and its own token, and of course, obviously, sending the base tokens or the input tokens for the minting over to the debt address. So now. I think it could get diluted if it starts, okay, now this one's going to buy and burn itself. It's also going to buy and burn, I burn instead of PGIF. Right. I think that's where you could end up getting in trouble a little bit. But.
Yeah. When you introduce like I burns the ICOSA, it's built for ICOSA, right? So in that system, I didn't get a chance to watch that video. Essentially, are you replacing GIF with ICOSA in that case, or what does that system look like?
Pretty much. It's basically ICOSA and IBurn, right? So it's the same exact system as GIF, right? You if you want to mint, you put in your ICOSA, you add the amount of pulse for the protocol fee. That pulse goes in to feed the system, right? Okay. Now the ICOSA gets sent to the debt address. It kind of goes away forever. Right. And then I think it's 85% of that pulse buys and burns iBurn or goes into the buy and burn for iBurn. And then there's 15% that goes back to the PGIF burn address.
Got it. Okay.
Or burn contract. Buy and burn contract. Yeah.